prices.
You don't think corporations would say, okay, I know everybody's getting $1,000 a month now, so let's raise the prices a little bit?
Well, then,
Even on just regular everyday products.
Oh yeah. So what I say to people is like, look, let's say you're in Missouri, and then President Yang, 2021, I'm like, freedom dividend time, let's do this thing, and then the checks start going out, and then you're like the burger joint, and you're like, ooh, everyone's got $1,000 a month. I'm gonna raise my burger prices from $5 to $10. If you walk into that burger joint, you're gonna be like, what the heck happened? This thing was $5 last week, and then you're gonna go to the taco place or the deli. And then every restaurant has to try and gouge you simultaneously. Mm-hmm. And then it just takes one restaurant to be like, you know what?
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes to that restaurant.
Exactly.
And then they're all like, oh, I can't. Turns out I can't stick it to people. Because it's not like if you get $1,000 a month, you're all of a sudden made of money.
Yeah.
Like you're still
That's
going
a
to be.
lot of money, though.
You're
But
just able to get some basic things. Now, what about health care?
Well, hold on. Before you do that, but you said we have money. When you said we have a lot of money. But don't we have a debt of like $16 trillion that we owe?
Yeah. So it's a little more than that, actually. But so one thing I'm saying to people is like, look, we have the money. I mean, again, Amazon paid zero taxes. Mm-hmm. Like Jeff Bezos is worth $160 billion for a reason. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of wealth in our society, and
right.
and the fact that
divorce too, though, so
it's going to be, it might be 80, but still not 80.
He'll be fine. He'll be all right.
Yeah,
he'll be good.
So the fact that we've got a lot of past mismanagement and a lot of waste in the system does not mean we do not have the money. We have the money.
All right. Now, what about universal health care? Do you believe that along with this universal basic income, we should also have universal health care?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm for a single payer Medicare for all. It makes no sense to have Americans more stressed out about paying for care than we are getting well. If we get sick or injured or our kids get sick or injured, it's backwards, it's immoral. And I'll tell you, this is another thing where people are like, where are you going to get the money? Where are you going to get the money? We spend 18% of GDP on our healthcare, twice as much as other countries, to worse results. We have plenty of money. It's just the money's not on the public bottom line yet, but it should be. So I've been the CEO of a business, and I tell people very honestly, like our healthcare system makes it harder to hire people. It makes it harder to treat people like full-time employees because you just want to turn them all into contractors and say, hey, you know, like
that way
you're just
healthcare, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes it harder to start a business. It makes it harder to change jobs. Mm-hmm. It's actually this giant impediment on our economic dynamism and growth. How many people out there have businesses that they might have started if our healthcare was covered by the public sector, which it should be? Right. So I'm for universal health care.
They said in the future most people are going to be freelancers just because companies are trying to just hire contractors so they don't have to pay for health care.
Yeah, 94% of the new jobs created in this country since 2005 have been temporary gig or contract jobs. So that don't have health care benefits. So tying health care to your job makes less and less sense, and we just need to get with the program and evolve and say, look, your job and healthcare are unrelated.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of people don't want to take that jump because they know if they leave their 9 to 5, they lose healthcare and their family loses healthcare. They don't want to take that jump to be an entrepreneur.
I'm going to tell you guys a true story. Like, I told my wife I was
as opposed to
everything else I said. It's all no, but this is a true story. So I go to my wife and I say, hey, babe, I'm going to run for president. And her first question is, what are we going to do about healthcare?
She's like, you gonna leave your job?
You leave your job.
That's a true story.
I remember
I think I read something about the UBI once. It said they wanted to get rid of welfare and social service programs. So wouldn't that leave people who qualify for all these benefits in like worse economic positions because they'll have to pay for their own health care and child care?
That is totally not my plan. I mean, there are people that have been for UBI in the past who are like, ooh, we're gonna like get rid of all the social services. I think that's crazy. You can't take away programs that people are literally relying upon for their day-to-day and month-to-month survival. It'd be vastly destructive. So my plan is to make the freedom dividend available to everyone, and it's like a parallel supplement to the existing program.
On top of everything they're already getting.
So what I'm saying is, look, here's the freedom dividend. If you opt in, then you're saying I prefer that to other stuff. So it's not that it's an either or, but we don't take anything from anyone. So we're not going to make anyone worse off. But if you opt into this, you're saying I would prefer $1,000 cash, unconditional, no reporting, no monitoring, no requirements. I can spend the money on whatever I want.
You got to pay taxes on that $1,000?
No, you don't.
Oh, this is great.
So I would have to compare it to what I'm already making in Social Security.
And then make a decision.
Make a decision of what you want, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the reasons why the costs for this come down to something much more manageable. Because a lot of people just do the basic math and they're like, $12,000 for every adult in the country. That's like $3 trillion. That's a lot. But because of the current spending, it actually brings the price tag down very, very quickly. And then if you put on this tech tax, where we have a value-added tax that gets the gains from all these new innovations in self-driving cars and trucks, like that gets the price tag down very, very fast. So this is much more affordable than people think.
Now, I heard you say that. You said that the money is already there, but then I also read about the value-added tax. And you say you want to put 10% on all goods and services. So
Yeah.
what is it? Is the money already there, or you have to put the 10% tax on it in order to get the money?
Well, so the reason why there are all these people who are looking like AOC at like very high marginal income tax rate, or Elizabeth Warren with like a wealth tax, like we realize that this economy has gotten entirely unbalanced, where you have, the top 1% hoovering up all the gains, like a winner-take-all economy. So the question is, how do you balance that out? And so to me, a value-added tax is a much more efficient way to do it, and it's what every other country has already done, because a value-added tax is very hard to game. Like if you're Jeff Bezos, you're Amazon, you're going to have to pay it as long as you're doing business in the U.S. So you could build a value-added tax where it exempts certain consumer staples, so it falls more on the affluent than people who are just like buying diapers and the rest of it. But the reason why every other country that's an advanced economy, aside from us, has already done it, is that it actually will get us a slice of every Amazon transaction, every Facebook ad, every Google search, every robot truck mile, and bring it to the American people, put the money in our hands. And then what are we going to do? We're going to spend that money in the economy. It's going to create 2+ million jobs. And Amazon and the gang are still going to get some of that money back. You know what I mean? But at least it comes through our hands. We are the owners and shareholders of this country, and this is a dividend for us.
Now, let me ask you a question. Now you talk about Amazon, and I know
That's your
Amazon doesn't
competition
play
staring you
tax.
down, by the way. You see her?
Oh, Marianne's not my competition. Marianne's awesome.
Now, we talk about Amazon with not having tax, but let's say we decide to tax Amazon, right? Doesn't Amazon close up, go to a country someplace where they get huge tax breaks, and then we lose all those jobs again?
Well, again, every other advanced economy already has a value-added tax, and Europe's value-added tax is twice what I'm proposing. So where are they going to go? Like, we are the number one consumer market. It's not like they're going to stop selling here. The other thing is that as president, I would make all of the tax incentives provided by cities and states for companies to move 100% taxable. I would get rid of that stuff because it makes no sense to have cities and states fighting to give tax breaks to the Amazons of the world, where from a national point of view, we don't care what city or state they're in.
Right.
And Amazon should be making choices based upon what's best for their business, not who they can get the biggest concessions from.
Now, you're saying $1,000 a month. You're saying free health care. Now, what about weed and what about colleges? Free
You didn't say
college
free
too? Free
healthcare,
tuition
did
too? Well, no, yeah.
I said public health care.
Public
Yeah,
health
he did.
care.
Yeah.
But yeah, because
What
I was
about
going to ask you
colleges
about marijuana.
And marijuana, yeah.
And legalizing marijuana, there's a lot of money to be made from that as well. So what
Yeah.
do you think about that, and where should that money go?
I'm for the legalization of marijuana, remove it from the controlled substance list, in part because our administration of the criminal laws are deeply racist. It's very obvious to everyone. So on April 20th, 2021, I'm going to pardon everyone who's in prison for a low-level nonviolent drug offense.
I like your marketing strategy.
'Cause it makes-
420, baby.
Because it makes no sense to have people in jail for stuff that's legal in some parts of the country. And then there'd be a lot of money, and I know there are bills that want to channel that money to African-American businesses and communities, which is a great idea.
Yeah, because we were affected so much by these marijuana laws.
Yeah, completely.
Does Andrew Yang have a black agenda? Do you have an agenda specifically for black people?
Well, a lot of it overlaps with my overall agenda, because I think that the freedom dividend and universal health care would go a long way. But I'm for getting rid of private prisons. I think it makes no sense to have prisons that have a profit motivation.
Why do y'all think all black people in jail?
I mean, again, that affects everyone.
Yeah.
I'm for dramatically increasing the federal allotment to HBCUs, because the problem with education right now is it's become a business. And so what happens is schools end up benefiting by catering to the affluent because they'll donate more money and they can pay full freight and the rest of it. And so you have these HBCUs that have an incredible historical mission, have been shown to elevate hundreds of thousands of African Americans, but because they don't have these crazy endowments that some of the rich schools do, that they're struggling. And so the federal government can help shore that up. The government, in my mind, exists in part to counterbalance the excesses and perversions of the marketplace. And right now in American life, the market is just running amok. It's overrunning everything. And that's what we have to stop. And the one great way to stop that, get this dividend into everyone's hands, and that'll help us reclaim our democracy.
Why would the top 1% of the country, or even just people that's doing well in life, need an extra $1,000 a month?
Well,
Should it really be for universal? Should it really be for everybody?
There are a few reasons why I think it should be universal. Well, one, in this example, is like Jeff Bezos and the gang are going to be paying hundreds of millions, billions of dollars into it, so we don't care if they get $1,000 a month. It's like it's just like a reminder that they're still a human being and a citizen. But if you try and make it income based, it ends up being a rich to poor transfer, and then it ends up being politicized in a particular way. Where if you make it universal, it's like, look, it's just you're an American, you're a citizen, you get $1,000 a month. And then you end up getting rid of all the administration. You get rid of all the reporting. You get rid of all the, oh, my circumstances changed, or I'm going to underreport because I want to be below this line so I can get the money. So you get rid of all of that stuff. And then you get rid of the stigma. Because one of the problems with our existing programs is that, like there's a stigma attached to being in them, and then everyone politically attacks them. And this you can't attack. And Alaska's the proof. Because in a deep red state, Alaskans love their dividends so much that they said they would accept higher taxes to keep the dividend. That's how much they love it.
I see you're also doing this plan with a couple of families, right? You're testing it out to show how it does work.
Yeah, I'm personally giving $1,000 a month to a family in New Hampshire and a family in Iowa. And shocker, they like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's like
How did
people
you decide what family you were going to give? Because there's a couple families up here that wouldn't mind.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if I'm president, man, I want to do it for everyone. And if I had the money, I would do it.
Oh,
for
you want to pay? You want to pay it out your own pocket for everybody?
Okay, you would also be making $4 million a year as president.
So
They make
yeah,
that
so
much? They don't make
no,
that
they
much.
don't. They
They don't make
make
$4 million a year.
$400,000, but Angela's right. But
I'm talking about his proposal.